Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we're relaxing as per usual. You know the line. Say the line, dear darling. It's almost part of the intro now, and by almost part of the intro, I mean it is basically part of the intro now. But yeah, what are we doing? We're I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're streaming in about 20 minutes or so I'm not doing anything crazy at the moment. If anything, I'm just getting my gacha games going on my phones. But hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 1:38 PM on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. I mean, like, what to say about gacha games? The Uma Musume schedule is accelerating once again, so it's even faster than usual. The next Champions Meet is like 2 weeks after the next Champions Meet, and I'm like, okay, well, luckily I finished my ace horses now for this one, and I was working on my grandparents, and it's like, wow, there's a new mode coming out, and you're like, you're not meant to make parents or parents except in a new mode, but I'm like, there's only 2 weeks to do that. Like, that's not enough time, because you only get 3 daily borrows. It'd be better if it was 5 daily borrows, but even then, that's not a lot of time. Like, I'm not going to do 5 Uma Musume runs in 1 day, probably. So I'm making the grandparents, and then I'll compromise by making the parents in the new mode or something. And then we'll have to figure something out. But yeah, what else we can talk about? I don't really know. TBH, I don't really know. TCG Pocket's got the new packs out. I'm not even really playing TCG Pocket anymore. I'm using it as a collecting simulator because I guess that's who I am now. What else? I don't really know what to talk about, to be honest. Things are just sort of things are as they are, you know. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Who knows? I guess I did exchange, you know, a TCG Pocket, so I'm looking at it on my phone right now. There's a new promo drop event, so I've got to figure out. See, I haven't done the thing about updating. Wait, is this how you do it? It's not how you do it. I don't know how to use this interface anymore. I haven't done the thing where I've updated my online tracking of like which cards I do and don't have from certain things. Log in. It didn't log into. It logged me out my account. There's this nice online website where you can track this sort of thing, like, but you had to manually put them all in, as opposed to things like in my other gacha games, which can scrape your information and do it automatically. I wish there was a easier way on TCG Pocket to actually track which cards you're missing properly. But what I want to do is I just want to know which packs are best for me to pull, like efficiency wise, and then like which of these promo cards I actually need to get. That's a thing. You know, I play a lot of these games. I've seen many sort of like large database sets. Compromising is not the right word. Compiling all this different information together of, you know, stuff you have, stuff that's to be released, etc., etc., etc. So it's always a shame, I suppose, when these sort of features, which honestly, in my opinion, should be more tied to the game. Like, why not put these sort of features in the game? I can't even see my screen properly. It's too bright. I need to actually draw the curtain across. We're at the point. Sorry, you can't hear me. We're at the point in time of the year where the sun sets awkwardly and shines directly onto my monitor, so I can't see things properly. And you might be like, dear darling, why don't you just like move your monitor or something, or put it in a more reasonable location so you can actually see things? And that would be smart. That would be smart. Unfortunately, that's not what I did. Wow, I didn't realise how many of these promo cards I missed. Apparently I missed Alcremie. I do have this Eevee card, that's true. I do have this Entei as well, okay. But from this I should be able to discern which ones I'm actually properly missing. Except for it doesn't tell me which ones are in which drop rate deck, I just realised. Okay. Does it tell me on the site? See, anyway, so what I was saying is that I played a lot of these games and I've seen a lot of these databases, you know, come and go. I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's honestly fantastic work what people do. To be honest, to be able to actually make these in the first place, right? To actually compile all this stuff together, because they don't need to do that. It's optional stuff, isn't it? You know, no one's paying them to actually make this stuff. You can't even run adverts on them, I think, because that's probably like illegal or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I always have like a deep respect for people who actually go out of their way to do these sort of things. Mainly because, as mentioned, they don't need to do it, right? Excuse me. They don't need to do it. It's just something that people do optionally for the benefit of others, right? By doing this, people are allowed to, you know, have a better sort of through line, I guess is a way to put it, of what exactly we're trying to get, what exactly we're trying to do, you know, what exactly we're trying to pull here. And it's been unbelievably helpful, you know, because nowadays, like, I'm trying to think, like, what was the first sort of gacha games I started out with, like, Love Live, and I remember there were two sites. There was School Idol Tomodachi, which I don't know if it's still alive, but it had, like, data about the songs, some of the cards or something, and there was also a site made by just one person, by the way, called Catch Again, which basically had, it still exists apparently, every single, like, card, like, by the set, by whatever, and which I'd always use to check out, be like, oh, new set's been released, you know, let's see what it looks like, or whatever. Back in the crazy days when I, you know, only played on Global, then started playing on Japan, which, now I think about it, is insane. Playing the same game twice. Anyway, these games don't exist anymore. School Idol Festival doesn't exist. I don't think Love Live even has a game anymore, which is crazy. All things considering, what they potentially could have had, you know, seeing, look at the catch game charts, man. Look at how much money they make. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but there's like, they release like, monthly revenue reports of that sort of thing. Look how much money, you know, those catch games are making. It's crazy. Which goes to show the predatory model, I suppose, of these games are certainly, I suppose, working. But yeah, people compile all these like sort of databases of these sort of things, which must be pretty expensive, right? I'm not sure. Honestly, and like image hosting is not as expensive as video hosting, you know, of course. But it is kind of like crazy to actually like put all of this together. I always think about this, like as well with Starlight Stage, like because there's basically this huge resource called Starlight Kirara, which compiled together all the cards, and then every single time like a new card skill gets released or a new card ability gets released, we had to like implement it into their like sort of filtering system. I don't know, maybe this is part of me just being like, ooh, you know, messing around with data actually sounds like kind of fun, but actually maintaining these, I think probably if anything the site cost must be the expensive part. Because I don't think it's something, I don't know the legality on it, don't quote me on this, but I don't really know what the legality is of hosting this sort of site information, you know? Like, is it a thing which, if you do it, you know, you could get like cease and desisted? Maybe. I always think back to, apparently this is just anecdote stissy right now, I always think back to Vum's Fighting Herds, the main 6, the origin, you know, me learning about what a cease and desist was. And basically, they made like a My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fighting game or something. It got huge because My Little Pony Friendship is Magic at the time was big, and eventually it got cease and desisted by Hasbro. Despite the fact that they were like, oh, you know, it'll be fine, they don't have any reason to do so because we're not making any money off of this. Which is, you know, technically true, but, you know, that's also, I mean, true that you're not making any money off this. So they don't probably have much of an incentive, but I think it also got, like, chosen to be featured at, like, the indie stage on eBay or something. It basically got too big. And, you know, companies are, or whether good or bad, I suppose. I mean, that's just how intellectual property works, is that they can cease and desist essentially at any time if you're using it, which is always a risk you take. So I do wonder sometimes how these sort of things like databases and fan wikis stay up. I guess, like, because as long as they're not making money off it, it's actually quite a useful resource for players of the game, because it means that the official company don't have to like maintain one themselves, or maybe they're not even incentivized to do so. I don't know. How does it work? Does that make any sense? Like, I think actually the big one, which I actually do think about, is the fact that League of Legends, basically one of the biggest games, online games right now. Is it the biggest? I don't know. Probably not anymore. I would imagine Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite might be one of the biggest instead right now. But League of Legends, absolutely huge, has no native like inbuilt wiki or something, or very good way of getting information about the characters and their abilities and stats and things like that. Like, everyone goes to the the League of Legends wiki, which I was going to call it LOL Wikia, but it's not that one anymore, because the fan wiki's site domain is something which is not that good anymore or something. But yeah, isn't that kind of crazy? Like, I can't believe they don't have their own like inherent sort of like easy database. I mean, they have been improving it, to be fair, but like even when I started back in 2010, by the way, 15 years ago, playing League of Legends, I used a League of Legends wiki, I think, or some equivalent of it, to actually look up the information, because I remember like trying to read about what the characters did in game was like so ridiculously difficult, because I think it was something like you couldn't actually see what the characters did without purchasing the characters or something. Like, there was no like video demonstration of the abilities. There were some champion spotlights, but not every character had the champion spotlight, so you had to look up people's like fan guides or whatever. It's crazy. Now obviously I'm not expecting them to have all of that, I suppose, when they've just started out, I suppose. Like, they've been operational for about 1 year. You know, it's a bit, I think, rich for me to be like, why don't you have a fully operational wiki or database of these abilities and stuff? But I don't know, like, it is certainly very possible. You know, I'm playing a lot of Gunfire Reborn right now, and they have like quite, so if anything, almost too comprehensive data about like abilities and stuff. But they have a very cool thing where you can actually see the like the abilities by like, there's like this nice little video which plays when you like hover over them, and then there's like a short description about it, and I'm like, this is pretty nice. I think League of Legends, to be fair, to give them credit, I think that does exist right now. Like, I think they do actually have whatchamacallit, like these databases, like you can actually see the ability previews or something. But like, I think it's just the maintaining of it is something that probably, I guess, these businesses don't want to do. Character gets reworked, buffed, or nerfed, slightly lose their functionality, and then like, oh, well, now you need to go officially record these videos again. Like, does it make that big a difference? It probably shouldn't, I suppose, in a theoretical sense, but, you know, there's a lot of quality control that goes into these sort of things. Which, I think, you know, to a certain degree, definitely seems like pointless and fruitless. Like, what's the point of doing all this quality control of, you know, like, it's just a video demonstrating an ability, but I don't know, like, there probably is, like, a reason for it. At some point, you know, someone did a video or something, and then, I don't know, like, leaked information somehow, so there's always, like, this quality control, which is required, but, you know, the fan-made and maintained things don't necessarily have that same level of scrutiny, right? Because no one expects, it's not an official source, right? It's not officially representing a brand, I suppose. If it's like this is me just talking through, I suppose, like, how running a business works, despite the fact I don't run a business. This is all speculative, so don't quote me on any of this. But like, if like a fan-made wiki or something no longer represents the values or whatever the game wants to represent, like, I don't know, like, think of an extreme example, like where someone is now putting stuff unrelated to a game, I suppose, in the things, or misleading information, you know, I guess the business will just be like, okay, well, get cease and desisted or something, I don't know. Or if anything, I guess the fans themselves probably start voting with their own traffic, being like, well, this wiki's terrible, we're not going to use it anymore. I mean, as I said, it's something which happened to the old League of Legends lore wiki. But now people use wiki.League of Legends, or people should be at least. I don't know if that's... I remember people like, we need to make sure that this one is the first one that appears when you go League of Legends wiki. And it is now. Because a fandom wiki was the old one or something, and it just... That was it. Fandom wiki, like the domain or the company or the brand, I don't know, started doing something, and then they made their own independent one. This is fascinating, don't you think? I also think about the Idolmaster one, because there was a huge Idolmaster wiki, which there still is, thankfully, which someone was maintaining for like 15 years or something, and was legitimately just losing money on it because of how much information. I don't even know if music was stored in there, maybe not, but they were just like straight up just losing money on it. And then they just eventually went, I can't actually afford to do this anymore, so the wiki's going down. And then luckily people of the community were like, hold on, like we'll step up. Because I also think they were like, I don't want to maintain this anymore, this is too much. Some other people came in to step up being like, okay, you know, we'll cover the costs, or like we'll maintain it, and something like that, which I think is cool. But that's, I suppose, the first big insight I got to be like, whoa. This person was literally just pouring money into something which they presumably truly loved, right? For the benefit of the entire community. And if that isn't, you know, heartwarming in a very niche way, I don't know what is, you know? That's like from the community for the community, exemplified. So it's kind of sweet, in a way, to see these things sort of up and going. And if anything, maybe this is making me be like, I should probably donate to Wikipedia when it asks for donations. Because if anything, Wikipedia is one of the largest, I suppose, maintained fan wikis out there. Just fan wiki for the world. For humanity as a whole, for Earth as we know it. Or this game we call life. Sorry, I don't know how often I can... How many more weird sort of metaphors I'm doing here. It's not even a metaphor. Is it a metaphor? Hold on. This game we call life? When in doubt, just refer to it as imagery. But yeah. So fan wikis. I have a deep respect for them. And what they do. And how they've been maintained this entire time, so... Good job to all you fan wiki maintainers out there. Those of you who are actually adding information, hosting the domain, adjusting it every single time new database information needs to be kept track of. It really is a labour of love, a thankless labour of love. But, I mean, the fact someone out there does it is great. Did I have anything more insightful to say about that? Not really, I'm sorry to say. It was perhaps a bit, if anything, a bit of a dull commentary for myself here. I'm just, you know, I don't think it's a very enlightened take to be like, you know, shout out to the people who do thankless jobs, right? I don't know if you might be like, oh, I thought you were gonna like talk about like garbage men or something, or you know, like the medical professionals, and you know that applies too as well. But you know, I only talk about one thing every time, I suppose. This was just the topic of my choosing at the moment. Yeah. So I'm glad there are like these fan sort of resource databases to keep track of all of these things. Even if they're not always the most convenient, you know, they're working with whatever constraints we have. So the day that TCG Pocket, basically going full circle, gets a way to track the cards automatically, that is the day, I don't know, we celebrate in the streets. To be like, yeah, we did it. Just a way to be able to easily upload my collection, so I don't have to manually do it each time. But someday. Anyway. And it wouldn't be too bad. It's just the fact that when you do trades and when now the new sharing function, it's really difficult to keep track of that sort of stuff. And I've basically skipped out keeping track of like an entire set, and I'm like, well, no, I can't be bothered anymore. So anyway, If you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. I can't click stop recording because Clip Studio Paint is launching. You might be like, why are you launching it? It's because I'm streaming in 2 minutes. Okay, bye-bye for now.